Go. Hello, friends. Let me draw for just a minute. Give some folks a chance to jump on board. Welcome to Crosshatch Inkling number 4. My hope was to do one a week, and so far I'm happy to say I'm right on schedule. A little bit ahead of schedule, actually, today. But, hey, my name's Dan. I'm an artist. For the last 20 years, I have been mostly an oil painter. And I certainly have not given up oil painting. But at least in this season right here, I'm going back to really my artistic roots. My most native style, I would have to say. Once again, I'm using the famous old-fashioned workhorse of the graphic arts industry, the rapidograph pen. And as you saw, perhaps by the title, or can see by the image here, let me turn it around so you can see it. I'm doing a drawing of Charles Dickens. I was in the mood. First of all, none of my crosshatch inklings so far have been portraits. And I was in the mood to do some famous old dead person. So I simply did a search for black and white photographs of famous people. Actually, I did that, and then I thought, no, I want to do Charles Dickens. So I was already familiar, perhaps as many of you are, I was already familiar with this famous photograph of the man. And so I found it, printed it out, and to answer one question right away, probably as you can tell, indeed, I traced this outline I have addressed the subject of using photomechanical means, tips and tricks. I've addressed the subject many times in my videos. And as I like to say, the use of photomechanical tips and tricks for capturing your art is completely legal. I'm air quotes on the word legal there. It's completely acceptable, sort of. My usual spiel on this subject is it is perfectly permissible. I mean, who's going to catch you? Who's going to arrest you? The art police. And I know there are some people out there who have appointed themselves as art police and perhaps look with scorn upon those who deign to use photomechanical tips and tricks. But ignore them, they have issues. So it's acceptable to use these tricks here, but there's a big but coming. I don't know if you can tell that or not. Duck, there's a big but coming. It is perfectly permissible. The only thing is you have to remember I have to remember every time I do it the easy way, that is to say, tracing, which I certainly did. This is a light table I'm drawing on, right? So I had this taped to the back of the page, and I traced it just as carefully as I could. What you have to remember is that anytime you're doing that, using, again, mechanical, technical tricks, your skill at your observational skills are deteriorating. Then I say, no big deal. You just need to make sure that you are supplementing your photomechanical tips and tricks with practice, with homework is often a word I use, with old-fashioned look and copy the hard way. And you really do want to do that, because no matter how many technical tricks you use, even so, still nothing replaces the artistic eye. So a few minutes ago, as I was preparing to do this drawing and this broadcast, I had a very serious talk with myself. And I says, Dan, yeah? What's the most important thing to do right now? In other words, do you want to? And is it worth taking the time? Is it worth taking the time to practice right now, to make this homework? And I determined, no, it was not. It's not worth it. I decided it would not be worth taking the time to do this the hard way. So I did it the easy way, which means 20 minutes ago, as I was doing this tracing, my brain was shrinking. Which gives me some pause. I don't think it's a good idea to have one's brain shrinking. So what I lost in skill, I will make up for by doing homework these days, this day, this week, these days, by drawing and copying something the hard, old-fashioned way. All right, so let me talk just for a minute about Charles Dickens. You all know him. I don't have to give you an introduction. I was inclined to do Charles Dickens because I just finished, for the second time in my life, I think the first time I was in high school, I don't know, it was a long time ago, I read Great Expectations. And I read it again over the last couple months, reading very slowly. And I must say, that Charles Dickens fellow is a good writer. I enjoyed it immensely. It slogs along a little bit slow for modern taste there in the middle. But if you ever decide to read it, believe me, it is worth it. The ending is absolutely glorious. I should say near the ending is glorious. The ending itself, I don't want to be a spoiler, but I'll spoil it this much. Cover your ears if you don't want to know. The Great Expectations has a famously disappointing ending, like last page, last sentence. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's famous or infamous in the annals of American. Listen to me, of literature for being a ending. But leading up to that last page, it is just breathtaking. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. So 3 cheers for Charles Dickens. It's also quite clear to me that if young Charlie were to walk into any publishing house today and say, "I got a book," I don't think there's a publisher on the planet in the English language that would publish any of his works today, because they are not of the right style. Kind of sad. Now, all those same publishers would acknowledge Dickens as a genius, of course. But if somebody walked in with a book written like one of his, so to speak, it would never get published. Just an interesting side note there. All right, so let me explain a little bit what you see me doing here. I have decided on this drawing, this version, this edition of pen and ink cross-hatching, I have decided to use my Dan Nelson's tried and true traditional native technique for cross-hatching. Unlike the cross-hatch Inkling number 3, there I changed my style. And number 3, I did curved cross-hatching lines, which is actually more, I think probably more traditional over the centuries. But on this illustration, I just made an arbitrary decision. I guess because my last cross-hatch Inkling number 3, because I used curved lines there, I decided to go back to my native style on this one. So this will give you, if you've never seen it, this will give you a chance to see how what I call my native cross-hatching technique looks like. All the lines are perfectly straight, or as straight as I can get them. And that has kind of a fetching feeling about it right there, doesn't it? It really does. It's certainly not going to stay like this, but it's pretty interesting already, just the way it is. So all the lines will be straight, and typically, again, this is me being typical of me, I start with all the lines going one direction, then layer number 2, I usually go perpendicular to that, layer number 3 at a 45 to that, and layer 4 at a 90 degree to that. So 4 layers in before I have to start getting tricky and looking for little bits, cracks that I can, because very often in a finished, as opposed to a cross-hatching sketch, very often in a finished cross-hatching illustration, like all of mine have been so far, I want a full range of values from white to black and every gray in between. And 4 layers of cross-hatching does not quite give me the dark range that I desire. And I am not going to make this broadcast very long because it's boring. It's dreadfully boring. I talked in my last episode about enduring the pain of tedium. And one of my regular viewers, Ross, if you catch this, yes, I enjoyed very much. Ross sent me a photograph of a piece he did in college, which reminds me to say the only technique that is more boring than cross-hatching is stippling. Instead of doing lines, you're doing dots. And that, my friends, and Ross, congratulations, that is absolute tedium to death. Oh my goodness. Everybody should do one. I repeat, one. Every artist, not everybody, every artist should do one stippling illustration in their life. Just so they can say they did it and then be done with it. Oh my goodness, it is just unbelievably tedious. And but this, speaking of tedious, this, what I'm doing right now is not a close second, but definitely still pretty tedious. So I am not going to broadcast for a long time. I've said all I need to say. I love Charles Dickens. And I am going to have sort of, after bad-mouthing tedium so bad, I am sort of going to have fun doing his portrait. I'll have more fun after I hang up from this live broadcast. Hello, T-Dog WDC20. Thank you. First time watching. My goodness. Well, welcome on board. Good to have you. Thanks for giving us a chat. I don't know where you've been. I've been here for years. I've been here off and on for years. How about that? And my channel has a lot of videos on it. Nearly 1,500, I believe. Maybe over 1,500. Anyway, 1,500. Anyway, and this is not a commission piece. I decided to do on my Substack account, which is really where this is going. Every week I'm doing a new crosshatching drawing with a little bit of commentary. So just to give you some of you newcomers where this is going. There's going to be a logo up here. That's hand lettered. Then there will be some hand lettering here and down here. Everything on this page, except for a part of the logo and the volume 1, number 4, everything on this page will be hand drawn or hand lettered. And look at how slow this is. It's possible, by the way, that I might do a time lapse. After I stop this broadcast, I may record myself. If you go to either my YouTube channel or, I'm trying to remember, it might be on my Substack account. My Substack is danielnelsonart.substack.com. And this is edition number 4. I've done one each for the last 3 weeks. This is number 4. And my hope, my desire, really, is that people will literally print out from my Substack account, print out the finished page, and as I like to say, stick it on your bathroom mirror. It will be words of encouragement, hope, upbuilding, interest. Anyway, check it out. I hope you will check it out. Hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope you come back again. And T-Dog with DC20. I hope you'll subscribe. Give me a like if you like this. And I'm trying to read Mail Radic 6760. Hi Dan, hope all is well. It is indeed, all is well. I'm very, very happy to be here, happy to be alive, happy to be living, believe it or not, in the day in which we are living. I hope that people will find my inklings. You know what that means, don't you? The word inkling means a hunch, a guess. I've got an inkling. I've got a thought. I have no idea where it came from. I should look up the etymology of that word. I have an inkling. And I expect my inklings to be consistently encouraging. One of my goals is to add a little more beauty to the world. And I might add, the whole channel, again, Substack, danielnelsonart.substack.com. The whole channel is sort of a revolt, if you will, against AI. I don't hate AI. In fact, I use, like most people, I use it quite a bit. But everything on this page, everything in my Substack, there will be no AI art, no AI writing, no AI anything, and no stock photography even. Every image on my channel will come straight from my hand. And part of the reason I'm making these videos is to prove, to have a record. See, I drew it by hand. Because yes, AI could fake everything. Someone could say, give me a picture of Charles Dickens in the style of Dan Nelson's cross-hatching, and AI could do that. That's the world we live in, isn't it? So this is my little way to, because I think one of the things that AI is going to do is force humanity to get in touch with its humanity. Some question. Oh my goodness, I helped you 4 years ago with airbrush. Fantastic. Wasn't that nice of me? Excellent. And T-Dog says, what parts do you use for AI? Oh, none of this. I don't use AI for any of this, other than, if you will, Googling an image of Charles Dickens. That's just old-fashioned Google. Even though old-fashioned Google is now AI, isn't it? But anyway, no, nothing here. No, I use AI for other things. Asking questions, factual, statistical questions. Yeah, boy, we live in a wild world, don't we? We really don't know where this thing is going. We really don't. But some of us are crazy enough to be optimists, and I am one of those. I could go much more in depth on that, but I won't right now. It may just be good enough for some of you to hear that some of us are in a good mood. Whew. All right, this is already getting pretty boring, so I will end here shortly. Again, I'm explaining. I'm going to do a whole bunch of lines, perfectly horizontal, as perfect as I can. And then usually the second goes perpendicular to that. Now sometimes I do a 45 to it, and I may do that this time. And when I'm finished, hopefully we will have a fascinating portrait an homage, honestly, an honor to Charles Dickens. I will say one more thing before I go. I teach art in various contexts, in various ways, and have done so for 25 years, which is not very long compared to how old I am. But I'm always thinking about teaching art. Every time I do a painting, just about every time I lay brush to canvas, I'm thinking, what do I need to teach? What do people need to know? And I'll close with this. I am not painting now, I'm drawing. But every work of art, drawing or painting, the goal, primary goal, is not to accurately capture or render the subject. That is a goal, unless you're doing pure abstract, which I do that as well. But if you're doing representational art, then one of the tricks you're trying to pull is for the art to look like the thing you're representing, right? But that is not the be-all and end-all. And I like to say it this way. Usually I'm talking about painting when I'm teaching, but here I'll be talking about drawing. The goal, a higher goal than what I call similitude, realism, accuracy, a higher goal is interestingness. Sorry for butchering the English language, making up words, but that's the best way to put it. When I'm finished with this pen and ink illustration portrait of Charles Dickens, it will look very much like him. But that's not really what will arrest people's attention. What will arrest people's attention is the ways in which the portrait is interesting. Does that make sense? So in this case, using this particular technique, a great part of what will be interesting in this portrait will be, in fact, the regularity of these lines. So someone will look at first glance, they'll say, oh, Charles Dickens, assuming they know what Charles Dickens, assuming they know this photograph, and it's pretty famous, so that's not a stretch. At first glance, they'll say, oh, Charles Dickens. But quickly following that, they will say, my, wow, that is interesting. Look at all those little lines. All right, so I'm making up, I'm play acting, I'm inventing how someone may in fact respond to the portrait. But the interestingness of the marks is, in my opinion, actually far more important than the accuracy of the portrait. Now let me say again, and of course I traced it, so I don't really get a lot of credit for accuracy. In future crosshatch Inklings, I promise I will do many things that I do not trace. Number one, it's so far number one and number two, all three so far. Crosshatch Inkling number 1, 2, and 3 have all been things that I did not trace. But this one is. Anyway, back to my statement. The fascination of the lines, fascination of the marks themselves. Oh, and a fascination of the values, the lightness and darkness. As I said in Crosshatch Inkling number 3, pen and ink is one of the 4 mediums in which it is difficult to get adequate darkness. Why? Well, as you can see, this is layer number 1, and parts of this drawing need to go all the way to black. So how many layers am I going to have to do? 6, 7, 8. So one of the things that will be fascinating about this drawing will be all the little lines. Another thing that will be fascinating about the drawing will be the values. Every shade of gray from white to black. And actually, I've got brown ink in the pen. I just find that very often brown ink, of course, is warmer, and it's a little bit more fun to look at, easy on the eyes, pleasant than black ink. That's very much a judgment call, and I am positive that in future episodes I will be using black ink. But for right now, I'm using brown. Yeah, you are right, T-Dog. So much. So many of the images online, of course, are AI. And we're all getting trained to that pretty quickly, aren't we? Like maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, time is flying so fast in this world, the world of AI, that we might have been fooled, but now we're all going, nah, that's AI. Anyway, all right, I think I've blathered on long enough. Great big welcome to those of you who are new. Thanks for watching. Those of you who watch later on, please leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't be like me. I watch YouTube videos all the time and enjoy them immensely, and dang it, completely forget to thumbs up or subscribe. So I'm trying to mend my ways, especially now that I'm back on YouTube with regularity. I'm very keenly aware of that. You help me a lot if you like it. And as I always say, if you don't like it, let's just keep that between you and me. All right. For those of you who said, who is this guy that's droning on? That's me. My name's Dan Nelson. As I said in a recent video, I've been an artist professional artist for 53 years. I paid for all these wrinkles. Took me a long time to say that. It's true. I went off to college, and as a freshman, the college I went to hired me in their marketing department to do graphic design and illustration. So I was 18 years old when I started working for money. Anyway, all that has nothing to do with anything. Thank you. Any last chats? 3 cheers for human intelligence. Hello, Ray. There's an old friend. Good to see you. Thanks for making a chat. You all become old friends eventually, and I appreciate you watching. I hope that you'll hang on for 3 or 4 days till I get this finished and post it on my Substack account. Oh, and just one other thing. One of the ways to deal with tedium is when I'm not talking to you guys, I'll turn up the music that's in the background. I have quiet music playing. Some like it hot. I don't, but I like quiet music. And I'll find a really interesting podcast or YouTube, and somebody will be talking over here, and that really helps the time go by. Okay, one last tip. All right, love you guys. Thanks so much for watching and putting up with this nonsense. Hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.